Okay, that's fine. Hello, everyone. Momentum TV training today of. I just totally messed it up. It's been one of those days. Branding bloopers. That's what we're talking about today. Not just video bloopers, which is what I'm practicing today. Apparently, I am here with Kai, who is a momentum coach with Success All Day, and my name is Tessa. I am a marketing strategist with Ashford Digital, and we combined to form Momentum Studio and go live in a lot of places every single Friday, just to spread the word about things that entrepreneurs are going through, specifically female entrepreneurs over in our Women's Entrepreneur Network show. So if you're watching us live, please hashtag live and replay if you're catching the replay. And we are keeping an eye on the comments. So when you get in here, just let us know where you're watching us from. And we're going to dive into branding, and specifically the bloopers are common mistakes that people make in their branding. And so I'll let you talk, Kai, just kind of introduce the topic while I get the slides up.
Well, first, hi, everybody. So I feel like every Friday we go live. As soon as you see us, we're like laughing because something has gone hysterically wrong backstage. So I just want you to know, why do we come here? We come here to show you that you should just show up anyway.
Do it. Just do it.
And business is supposed to be fun, right? So when we start to overthink and we think we have to be super polished, and you know what I mean? There's a time and a place for that. But when it's your thing and it's your crowd, you can be you, and that's what people embrace. That's what people connect with. Why am I saying all this? Because number one, you probably see us do this every week. Wrapping up as we get on, as something has fallen apart, an extension like literally every
single time. You gotta love technology until it doesn't work.
And then the other thing is we're committed to showing you what it's like behind the scenes. Because I think it's very easy to watch $1 million production and you can see how polished it is and how beautiful it is and these award-winning shows. But do you know how many hours go into that? How many people are there cleaning up the mistakes, or they're, like changing everything? And so you can still do business without being $1 million polished show, because $1 million polished show costs you $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Turns out it actually costs that much.
No.
It's true.
Yeah,
but we're very real anyways. That's our goal, is to be the true, authentic people and entrepreneurs and ladies that we are, with each other, with you guys, and always in our businesses. And so that kind of authenticity you won't find very many places.
Yes. And so we hope that you enjoy that. We purposely do it. No, I'm just kidding. But
to some extent, I feel like I might be causing it myself. You never know. But we do have a great show just covering some of the bloopers that you might be making in your branding. And it's not like, if you are making these mistakes or you're experiencing the same thing, don't worry. It's okay. Hey, Melanie.
Hello.
How are you? We still need to get Bella on for our coaching quickie.
She's there today, Melanie. I'm just saying.
She's there. It'd be fun. We have a couple coaching quickies that people have actually requested. So we have some scheduled coming up soon. Today we're doing the training, and then we're going to combine it with any questions that you guys have, or we might cover some of our Dear Mo questions if we have a ton of time left. Hey, I'm so glad to see you, Bella and Melanie. Thank you. And share it out if you can, because we'd love to reach some more people on these shows. Oh,
hi,
hey,
Leticia. Hey.
With us live. Branding bloopers. I have many.
So,
yes, so I'm going to go ahead and share.
You missed all of our bloopers. So let's move on to the training. Pretend we didn't have any.
Pretend there wasn't any.
That was us for the past 5 minutes. Okay. So this is what we're talking about today. We are doing a training. We haven't actually done a training in a few weeks. We've been doing a lot of Dear Mo's and coaching quickies. Today we are doing a training on branding bloopers. And if you followed us since the beginning, this is nothing that you haven't heard before, because I probably rant about these things all the time. Now I'm putting it together for you so that you guys understand why it's so bad. But that being said, Tess and I have both made these mistakes. And so that's why we can sit here in front of you and be like, girls, we got you. It's all good.
I've made every one of them. And I think that again, it's not a bad thing if you are doing these. You can recognize it and change it.
Yes.
So it's not catastrophic.
Yeah. So we're going to go through the list, Tessa. If you want to just go through the list, and then we're going to go through each point separately to highlight them.
Yeah. So starting at the end, that was the first one. Do you want to?
We're going to go through it, so it's all good.
We'll go through it. But starting at the end, number 2 is preference over perception. And number 3, misaligned messaging. 4, overthinking it. And 5, getting attached. So we're going to dive into these each one at a time, starting at the end.
Yeah. So starting at the end, I love this picture. Tessa found this for us, and it's putting the cart before the horse. A lot of us do this. You've heard me say this over and over again. We talk about this all the time. But essentially, when you start with picking your colors, and you think that that is how you do branding, you're starting at the end. Your colors, your logo, those all come at the very end. Once you know what your brand is, what you represent, what you stand for, those are all things that the color should be a representation of all of the work you've put into figuring out what your brand is. It's right. So, I mean, do you want to say any more than that?
This is me. I started, every business that I've ever owned has started with, I have to have a logo. I have to have colors. So it's the most common mistake. It's the most common blooper, marketing blooper that people are actually doing unconsciously. They feel like they have to have these things. And so it is just as hard as that horse trying to push it, because you're actually trying to force something that isn't natural. And so it will feel awkward, like you're wearing something that's not fitting you right, or that isn't your style, right? So
yes,
it's pretty obvious when you aren't quite there yet.
So true. Now, the next one is preference over perception. And this is like you've heard Tess and I say, when I first started my business, it was like, what font do I like? How did I like the way that this looks? How, what kind of colors do I want to have? And typically it was based on me. So it's almost like you're shopping. Right? So when you you do preference first, it's like you're shopping. You're going into you're looking at everybody else's stuff. What do I like? You're looking at the creative market. What brand sets do I like? Like all of that is really you shopping for what you like. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, because your brand, especially as we are personal brands, we're small businesses, they should be a representation of you. But we need to start with perception, right? Now, this is so important, and this is something that we go through in our branding party, but you have to start with how you want people to perceive you versus, I think this is pretty. And I don't say that in a demeaning way, but literally all of us do it. Everyone does it because we're told that you have to have a pretty feed. It has to be appealing. It has to blah, 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 right? All of these things. And so we go with, what do we prefer? Like when I first started, it was like, I really love this Instagram page. And so then I tried to emulate the same thing. It was kind of like this. It was this photographer who, right now you see a lot of the airy and white type of and clean minimalism pictures. They had like a kind of a dark, stormy feel. And I was like, yeah, I like that, And then I tried to do it. It was horrible. So
it takes a lot of work too. I mean, especially when you're trying to do a feed and you're trying to emulate. I love how you say that. And that is something that we talk about being able to do, but it's not, if it's coming from a place of emulating before you even understand who you are, like you're not clear, then it's way off. Like I can't even picture Kai with a stormy looking presence. Like she's so bright and cheery and happy all the time. Like I can't even picture her doing that. But we always make that. We go look at websites, we go look at other people's creations, when really, if we look inside us and then find that true messaging, that true, like and you call it your magic, but you understand what it is that you're offering, then it's going to be a lot more true to character. And I know we're going to cover one of these people in one of our events, so I can't spoil it, but it's really common to kind of put that perception of what we want over the top of what our actual target audience wants. So if Leticia, who's in our audience, if she's my target market, and I understand her, she's an energetic business owner and she really wants to get new clients. She has an awesome, I don't even know how you explain it, but it's my digital bestie. She's VA, but much more than that. So if she's communicating and she wants to attract her target audience, she maybe wouldn't be putting up, pictures of clowns or something like that on her profile. I don't know why she would put clowns on there, but if she posted something that was way off base, it's going to be pretty, you have to understand what perception you're going for with your target audience, not just you.
Yes, exactly. So it's not just like, what do I want to put out there? It's what do I want people to think about me? Exactly. Right? Not just me, because and it's not like a vain, like, what do I want people to think about me? It's like, how do you want people to perceive you? Now, there's this thing that we both learned, Tessa and I, and it's called parity and difference, right? So parody, look at Leticia's like, clowns are terrifying.
I was just telling Kai that too. So I have this picture of a clown. I can't get it out of my head. So that's where it came from.
So, parody is this thing where all of us need to have it to just get in the game. So it's like, if I look at a phone, and now you see phones and they all have cameras, right? Whereas before, the camera was what made the difference. Now it's, every phone has to have a camera. So that's the parity, right? What we have to have just to be competitive, just for people to look at us. And I almost think that sometimes we think that we need to look like other people to compete. And that's actually not what parity is, although that's what a lot of us do. So in trying to...
So it's parity is what Kai's saying.
Parity. So parity, right? So
parity.
Yes. So this is just what we need to have. So like, if I'm a coach and I'm competing, my competitor, there's another coach, and we both have TV shows, and I'm trying to emulate their TV show, and they've been around in the market for a long time. They've, all these things. I'm not going to compete with them just because I have a TV show. It's my TV show has to somehow now also be different. Right? So that's where parity is, like, all of us are at the same level, like, just to play the game. These are the things that we have. These are the things that we sell, right? But the difference is what makes you stand out. It makes you a brand, right? It makes you different. It makes a Nike versus, the Vans. It makes Louis Vuitton versus Coach. Like, there's a difference, right? So we have to understand that. And the difference doesn't come in just the way that we look, right? The way that we look can be a representation of our difference, but we have to know what makes us different and stand out before we can really put thought and energy into that. And a lot of us often do it like we start at the end, right? We start at what color should I do? What should my picture scheme look like? And then we go with, well, what do I like? Right? And so we need to turn it around and start
shopping instead of shopping.
Start studying your people, right? And start
target audience.
Exactly. Start studying your target audience. Start studying what are the benefits that I give people, right? What is it that I do well? And once you start to know those things, all of a sudden you're going to know how to position yourself. And then when you know how to position yourself, now the colors can come into play, because this person likes me because of this. This person, now what represents those things?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I love when Kai says, what do you want to be known for? And it was, I think, the most epic thought or concept for me was to think about, well, this is what I want to be known for. So we all do things, but it's that core of what you want to be remembered for, that what you want to stand out. Once you keep that at the core of your messaging, your branding, then it all kind of comes together. It doesn't feel so awkward. Whatever you're doing, just it's like, does this align with that? Yes, great. Then we're on the right track.
Yes. Have any of you, I just want to know, show of hands or whatever, in the comments, I would love to know if any of you, when you first started, you picked a color that you liked and the fonts that you liked, or, hey, I like this person's page, so I kind of tried to make my page like that. I would love to know, be honest. This is like literally something that we see all the time. Tessa is always redoing people's website and brands, so she sees it, the physical version. And I often see like the mental, like the mindset when I'm coaching behind the scenes, like, well, so-and-so has this. And I feel like I'm just like, whoa there, Tiger, like, that's not even who you are. So I would be very curious for who's watching, even if you're watching the replay, just hashtag replay and let us know if that's something that you first did too.
Kai, what was your first color that you picked?
Oh, of course it was hot pink.
Hot pink.
Yeah.
I was very boring. I went with like a blue. It was very boring.
Well, blue is my favorite color, so I tried so hard to get the blue in, but it just didn't look good with the hot pink. And I had already committed to the hot pink at that point. So.
And when I had this school, I ran a preschool for 10 years. I picked grass green and a sky blue. And I was like, that makes sense. And it worked out fine. But what ended up being my branding was a marble. And it had like lots of colors and swirls. And so I found that was much more attractive to the average, like that target audience of parents and kids than my sky blue, my two colors, which were very bold. So Melanie says she picked a readable font. Oh, Calibri is actually a really good font, generally speaking. At least it's not Comic Sans, which I actually had someone who had that for their font. I'm like, okay, we've got to change.
Were they a preschool teacher?
They were not. It was a business. And literally, I said, what? Can we pick a different font? They finally came around to it. It took forever. But we pick these colors. We pick brand. We pick an example of what we think people want. I would say just talk to your target audience and see what they want and like, because it's going to be way more effective.
Great way to create buzz and buy-in is to like show them, like, you guys like A, B, or C. When you get people involved in the process and then they see like, oh, look, she actually chose what I, voted for. People start to buy into that. So don't feel like you're alone, because you don't have to be. Now that we're in this social media vortex, this is how we connect, right? Yes. And it's how we get engagement from people, is just doing that. Simply asking and then showing them that you're listening by, oh, awesome, 83% of the people voted for this. This is what I got. That is a great way to get buy-in and to have brand loyalty. Just saying.
Absolutely. I know. I took down the screen because I was like, we're so tiny. So the next one is misaligned messaging.
Yeah. So we were talking about this, and I believe we talked about this last week, but it's very similar to when I first started, because I came out of corporate. So I felt like I had to be professional. Now, I say that I had a hot pink, but that was probably the only thing that was like me screaming to get out of corporate, and everything else was still very corporate, right? The font that I chose, the way that my website was laid out, the business cards I chose, it was like excruciating for me to break away from corporate, even though corporate was not really my personality. I played the game because I had to, it was my job, but I left because it didn't fit me anymore. right? And so that being said, it was like I was in my own business trying to recreate what I just left. So my messaging was so all over the place because I was trying to fit into a box that I didn't even want to be in. And I was so, but it wasn't my personality. So I would attract a certain type of person, and then we would talk and it would be awkward because I felt like I couldn't be myself because they were expecting something very polished, something, you know what I mean? Because that's how I came out of the gate to begin with. And that just wasn't who I was. And so I had to like, it was so misaligned to who I was and my personality. Now there's a difference, right? When you have a corporation and a corporation has a face.
True.
Right? So but they also try to hire based off of the face that they're trying to show. But when you're yourself trying to be a face that does not belong to you, the messaging comes out wrong, or it comes out misaligned to who you are, and then it feels icky, or people meet you in real life and they're like, you're nothing like your website. You're nothing like how I thought you would be. And that's not a great feeling either, right? And so
for them either. So they, you know, they don't want to be blindsided. If people don't want to be blindsided by, oh, this is, I expect this, and when you get there, you don't get that, then you're going to be a little frustrated and possibly, you know, have a bad experience just from your own perception of going into a situation. So I love this picture because this is how it feels. It feels a little off, and you can't really say, sometimes a misaligned message, you can't really pinpoint what's wrong with it. You just get that feeling like it's not perfect, right? So it doesn't have to be cookie cutter. By that, I definitely don't mean cookie cutter. I just mean that it all is consistent and that it feels good for you and for the client when they're going through.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
No, I was just going to tell a story. When we did our 5-day challenge, which is an excellent 5-day challenge, we were talking about Muse and really your target audience and how to find that person, that target audience that really you jive with, and we call it the Muse. But Kai had a great example of like the casual person or very fancy. And are you marketing like you're this casual person, but when they meet you, you come across really super fancy? And that's exactly what Kai was saying. I think Kai's personality is so relatable and down to earth, and she's not worried about being exceptionally I don't know, you don't fit into the box, so you don't feel like you have to. She's like, I know, I'm unique, I'm me.
Well, I used to apologize all the time, you know? So when I first started my business, because I grew up in nonprofit and I grew up in corporate, I was so used to like watching my P's and Q's, right? And in corporate, even more so than nonprofit. Nonprofit was a little bit more forgiving, but in corporate, it was not. So in nonprofit, I was a baby growing up in nonprofit, and I was at the top of my, I was over a ton of people, right? So I had a higher level job. So I had to play a certain role and I had to grow up quickly. So I was learning all these things. And then I got into corporate and I really had to play a role if you wanted a promotion, right? But when I got into my own business, I found myself apologizing a lot because who I am does not fit corporate. I cuss a lot. You know what I mean? I say what I mean. I don't beat around the bush. I'm not here to kiss your butt and sugarcoat everything. Like, it's just not who I am. It's not that I'm trying to be rude. It's just like, I think that honesty is being kind. Now, not being brash, but being honest, right? And I'm not here to just be like, oh, you're so pretty. Can you please? No, people don't pay me for that. I'm not going to waste your time with sugarcoating stuff. I cost too much.
You need that in the coach. Because if our coaches did nothing and never pushed us outside of our comfort zone, then we would not move, because comfort is, where people stay. They stay in their comfort zone. So,
but
Kai, you are my spirit animal.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you. But what I found is I was apologizing because my brand was so misaligned to who I was that I would see people, because we do these calls, right? so I could see your face, and then I would maybe drop an F-bomb to test it out. And then I would see somebody like their eyes get big. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Did I, so it's like I was attracting the wrong people. And we do that because we think, well, that's where the money is.
Right.
And that's not true. There are a lot of people with down-to-earth branding, with whatever that looks like, and they're making good money. And they're attracting people who don't live in mansions. And so we have to get over that misconception that in order for me to make money, I have to serve people who are at this mark, and I have to behave in a certain. I know a lot of crazy rich people who are super cool. Just saying, right? So for me to even think like, oh, I have to be a certain way, and I can't swear, and I can't, you know what I mean? And that then it caused me to create a whole different brand from who I was. It was so misaligned that I was constantly apologizing. And I mean, one time, I'll tell you guys this last story and we'll move on. This guy calls me, and I've coached men. Typically it's 1-to-1, but not in my group coaching. And so this guy calls me and he's like, I really want to coach. And I could just tell from the first 2 minutes of this conversation that he would not like me. So we're talking, and then literally I already knew, because there was a lot of things, but needless to say, I was a woman, and he was surprised that I was a woman, and whatever it was and all that stuff. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So as soon as he asked me for my pricing, I think I tripled it, because I was like, I need to get out of this conversation. I know that it doesn't work. And that was the moment where I realized that I needed to change my branding, because I wasn't attracting the right people. So for you guys, did you feel that? I mean, look, Tessa has literally written. Did you do dog walking? No, that was a skit.
I did. No, I did. Literally, I did dog walking. I mean, I trained dogs. I did all kinds of things. I took one of my jobs. Somebody asked me if I would, do the dog sitting. It was part of a job requirement. And I'm like, okay. Oh, no, it was resume writing. That was the one that was so out of character for me. Literally, somebody asked me if I would do resume writing, and I went in and did it because I was in this desperate place of I have to be everything to everyone. Come to find out that person actually wasn't a good match for my client, was not an ideal client for me at all, because there was no boundaries. Everything was all, you're everything in one, and we can't be everything in one, and our messaging can't be everything in one either. Niching down is really, really a good idea. I do work with guys and girls, and there is that conflict, and this has been a fun journey actually, is to be able to kind of come to that the side of saying, you know what, maybe this is more me than this one. Sometimes you have to actually try something to see if it's a good fit before so I love that what we're doing with Momentum Studio, obviously, and what we do for Women's Entrepreneur Network, and it's only going to get bigger. I know we have 3 more points, so I'm just going to go and do that.
As always, off tangent.
Tangent. Okay. What we are going to be doing soon, though, is breaking up and having little mini videos inside here. So that's going to make it a lot easier to just kind of pop in, get some quick information, and then come back later and find the time slot if you need it. Ooh, Leticia asked,
what is the best way to transition to a new market?
It was really hard for me. So I can just say that you have to reassess what you have and kind of look at it from that new market, the new vertical, just everything, do all the process that we teach all over again. So go back, figure out your target market, figure out what your pain points are in that market specifically. There's a lot.
Well, and what do you mean? I think I'd want to know more information. So if we finish this, would you mind getting on with us?
Yeah, Leticia, you can hop on. I'm going to send
comments and we can go through a little bit more, but I would love to know what you mean by transitioning to a new market. Are you transitioning what you do, your price tiers, your who you serve? I would love to know what it is you're trying to do, and then we can give you a much better answer.
Perfect.
So I think she's going to send it to you in case you want to get on live with us, but I will go over the overthinking it while we're in here. So when we talk about overthinking it, and I just want to, so it didn't pull up the new one. Yes, it did not. Okay. So it didn't pull up the new one.
Uh-oh. So are you seeing overthink it, but do you want, it's not the newest picture?
No, it's not. It's okay. Do you mind if I share though? Because I do want to share something with people.
Of course. Here, let me stop my screen share. We're going to play. Hopefully it will let you.
Yes, I fixed it while we were talking.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. So guys, I just want to kind of show you this because I think it's very easy for us sometimes to overthink it, right? But right before that, when we were talking about misaligned messaging, something that we should all know is that, like, so we were going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. So these two things came up for us, right? The top is an example of horrible branding, and the bottom is an example of great branding. Now, they're both professional companies. They both, I forget what exactly it is that they do, but what is so good about the branding is, number one, it's a lot of us think that we have to be fancy, or it has to have a certain effect. But what it really needs to do is it needs to make a statement, right? So when you create the logo, we always start at the beginning, don't start at the end. And what happened with this, the reason that I chose these pictures is because I think that oftentimes when we think of what is our favorite color, what's the font that we want to do, and then our messaging is bad, but your messaging is also seen in your logo. So what do I mean by that? So this KPMG, I forget what it is that they do, is trying to be out of the box, and maybe that's what they're trying to be, but it's just not good branding.
It's difficult to read, yeah. That's one.
And we don't really understand what they're trying to say with the 4 boxes, right? I mean, does anybody? I don't think they do, right? But Deloitte, even though I don't know who they are, they use one color or 2 colors, the black and then the lime green. And the lime green is an ode to playfulness. And the dot is a statement, as though they're the only people that you need, period.
I do like that.
And all of that is said with just a dot.
Isn't that crazy? I know. I was thinking like it's the statement. It's a statement, yeah, and that's it.
That's it. Deloitte, that's all you need, right? That's it. And they make it more fun because they added the green dot. Now, could you imagine if this was a black dot?
That would probably not have the same effect.
It would still make a statement, but it wouldn't be giving you that same type of playful, like, oh yeah, I like it, right? And just the green dot. But you know what happened is they knew what the message was that they were trying to convey. And yes, when they knew that, they were able to then create a logo and choose colors based off of that message. So even in the one word, they've spoken to you. Either you're their people or you're not, right? And that's just what it is. But I think that's just so amazing. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that's good branding. Like, you know what I mean? Like just that one word and you're like, wow, that's really cool. So,
and we talk about it. This is just looking at one little piece, like the logo standing alone, that it can communicate that much. If you can imagine all the other things that we're giving to people as our branding, as our messaging, and how if that's not all consistent, it can really confuse the message if you're not if you're not looking at it, right? Right. I don't know who they are, but I'm really not sure.
But I don't even know who Deloitte is, and yet it resonates with me, right? It gives you a certain feeling, and the feeling should never be confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I had to say. Okay, now overthinking it. Tessa, what would you say for overthinking it? This is definitely a branding blooper.
Oh, It is. Well, I think that we try to justify, we go back and forth and you'll spin yourself in circles is really what it would be to me. I overthought everything about my brand, everything about my logo. In fact, the overthinking it, my boyfriend, who is amazing, but he had a really hard time picking a logo, literally designed it himself after giving it to many, many people to design. Then it never got on the website because it was never final. And, he would never pick because he was just overthinking it so much. Love him because he's got all these creative skills, but a lot of us do overthink our messaging and our logo design or pieces of our business, which takes a bunch of time and energy.
I really think she said that well. No, I mean, that's so true. Because here's the thing. Let me see if it's on the next slide. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be on the side after this. But at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, you can quote me. I'm sure that there's going to be a billboard sign with this statement tagged by me. But you're never going, where you start is not where you finish, right? So don't put a lot of energy into this. And we talked about this, I think it was last week on the Dear Mo when we're answering questions. And one of the things that we said is just get a kit. Whatever it is, just get something in the beginning, just something that you can put on your website if you feel like you really need that website right away, if you feel like you need that business card, and make it as simple as possible so that, because what happens is I don't know how many years you spent. I spent a year and a half on my website before I ever gave anybody my website address, even though I had my website, but it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't the right color. I didn't like the layout. I didn't like all the things. I was overthinking it. And that cost me how much business and how much money.
Right. Well, I think that you got to fail fast. And why you have to fail fast is because it's going to take a lot of failures or not missteps in order to get to the end result, which is the actual, final branding. So just don't overthink it. Just fail fast so you can say, oh, yeah, that was not my branding. I'm just going to, a website. A lot of people think they have to have business cards anyway or something printed, and then there's money involved in it. I mean, I personally get people's information on my phone and I email them because of two reasons. I can always change my branding. I can always change my messaging because it's all digital. I am not locked into anything at any given time. We changed our colors. You might have seen like blue go from blue to black because we changed our branding. I mean, but if it's in a digital world, like we don't have to invest a ton of money to make, to get these, to kind of do that fail fast method.
Yes. And that leads us to our last point, which is getting attached. That is another blooper we all make. So then you've spent all this time and now you love your brand, or you feel like I can't change my brand. There was this article that I was going to share with you guys, and it was like literally they gave you 6 steps to branding, and every single step I was like, wrong. Because it was all of these things like, all of the wrong information, like it said never change your branding, never change your logo, all these things. I'm like, how is this a branding company? Because here's the thing, as you grow, your business will grow. Now, how you change it will definitely change, right? So if I'm a Pepsi company now, and we all know that Pepsi has changed their branding over and over again. So it was the bottle cap, then it was a different kind of bottle cap, then it was the glass jar, and then it was the can, and then it was just the circle symbol. So Pepsi has changed their branding, their logo itself, right? And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's horrible, right? Now there's a great way to rebrand, and then there's the wrong way to rebrand. But that being said, if a huge company that everyone knows can rebrand, then a small business like ours can definitely change with time. And typically we're more personal and engaged with our clients. So they're more understanding. You can have that conversation with them. You can get them, like we said, get that buy-in. But let me just give you an example. Now, for those of you who know Amy Porterfield, she is very popular. She's an online marketing made easy is her podcast. And this was her. maybe like 7 or 8 months ago, right? So I took a screenshot. This is her now. Now,
evolve.
yeah, it's a different color. It's a different feel, right? Now, she might have a little bit of the same, like, so she still has yellow and blue, but the blue has changed in tone, and so has the yellow. But even the feel is very different from what it felt like before, but she's still the same person, right? And it's not like everybody was like, oh my God, her brand changed. That's it. I'm not following her anymore. Right? No, she still has 1 million or whatever, however many followers. So it has nothing to do with that. So don't get attached just because you fell in love with your logo. You also need to stay relevant, right? You need to be innovative. And sometimes that means you need to communicate something different with your brand. Just like Deloitte with that green dot, communicate something. Sometimes your brand will need to change and reform and communicate what you're now doing or how you've evolved and how you've changed, which, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say on that, but that would bring us to exactly where we are with Leticia, because that's what she's looking at, right? How do I get into a new market? Some of that might be the way that you position yourself, because really branding is communicating who you are, what you stand for. It's resonating with the right people, and it's telling people this is what I do. But all of that comes from your brand. Like it's just like, but you got to know what that is before you can decide on your color, on how your logo looks, on all those things. Because if you don't know what you're communicating, it's basically a crapshoot and you're just picking stuff, right? Like that's just not gonna do.
It's so true. Leticia, just in case you want to hop on with us, I sent you a link and you can hop on live with us if you want. It's over in WhatsApp. Just hop on over. We'll see you come in. While we're doing that, I know we have about 15 more minutes in our slot. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We do look at our chats after the post, after our live's all done.
Yeah. And if you're being a weirdo, we ignore your comments. Just saying.
So. But you guys, if you are interested in being coached for one of our Dear Mo, you can actually submit a question without having any commitment. You can totally be anonymous and submit on that. And that is in our post. And you just click on the ask link. And we also have, if you want to be coached, you can do #CoachMe. Look at there. Now Leticia's in with us. She's like, thanks, Tessa. Hello, my dear.
Hello. Oh, let me turn you guys off. Hold on.
Oh, you've got the audio for echoing. Just mute the tab. It's all good. Yeah. Well, thanks for being our live coaching guest. This is Leticia's. Like I said, she is awesome. She has her own business. So just tell us, is it My Digital Bestie? Is that the name of the business?
Your Digital Bestie.
Your Digital Bestie. I knew I was missing something out. And she's amazing, period. But
I know
Kai,
you know that.
Kai, what would your recommendation be as far as switching industries?
First, could you give us, like, in 3 minutes, could you tell us, like, what you mean by you're changing to a new market?
Yeah, so I've mostly worked with digital marketing agencies, and I had a client for about a year that is like an online coach. It was in nutrition. And I never worked with the coach before, so I learned a lot about, managing an online course and all the work of that, and, maintaining a monthly membership, and kind of helping her put all that together, which then I realized was a lot of work. It wasn't like, oh, it takes 5 minutes. It takes a long time to set everything up. And I learned what I like. I loved what I learned, and I kind of want to do more of it. So I wasn't sure on how to transition, instead of just focusing on the digital marketing agencies, but kind of trying to get into getting more coaching clients, that are coaches.
So so you mean when you say a new market, you're doing the same thing?
Yeah.
And then, but focusing on a different
client base.
Okay.
Target audience, yeah.
That's
because I don't really know how to talk to coaches that much. It's I know you love what you do.
Well, how do you talk now to the agencies?
That comes more naturally. It's just like, I know you don't have a lot of time to do XYZ. Let me jump in and do it for you.
I mean,
think
it's really the same thing.
It is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think coaches, you know, that they might have a little different, they might be in doing more of the, you know, group coaching. So you might just need to know some of the different tasks that you might be doing that would be different from a marketing agency. I do think like group coaching or the masterminds or how to run communities, like just knowing how to talk about those would be helpful, but it's the same thing. They're still just as busy.
Yeah. But like, does every coach do the same thing? Because that's kind of where I got stuck. Is like, does everyone have group coaching? Does everyone have one-on-one coaching or have a membership or not? Or have a course? Because I've seen some people that don't have courses and they just talk to people one-on-one.
So I guess it would really depend what it is that you want to do. Like, because you're saying, so you worked with somebody for a year and then you really enjoyed it. So what is it that you enjoyed about it? Was their personality? Was it the fact that they were coaching? Or was it creating this group coaching experience with them? Was it managing the membership? Was it, because if you know what it is that you love to do, then that's what you're going to pinpoint as a selling point, right? And then it changes, like, you know, in a world of coaches, it kind of narrows your niche and who you're speaking to.
Right.
So do you know?
With her, I didn't really pitch. She just came to me. She's like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, "All right." So I learned everything. I liked the experience, and I actually got to know her clients too, because you know I did a lot of different things, but in a nutshell, like I got to know them, and it was really cool to be a part of something that changed the lives of many women, because she was a keto diet coach. So you know she helped people with losing weight and their health and so it's cool to be a part of something like that, which I've never been before, but it was cool to kind of just see the direct impact of someone's work on their clients.
Okay, so what that, I mean, I don't know, Tessa, what you got from that, but for me, what that says is that what you loved about it was the experience, the community experience. And so then that would be what I kind of speak to. Like, you know, hey, if you're looking for help managing your community and getting more engagement or create, you know, like all the things that we want to do and don't have time to do as a coach. Like those are the things, because, you know, it's the same thing. We don't have time, but it's like, okay, I got to get a VA, but there's a VA who does this and there's a VA who does that. And then so I don't know what I need. So you got to tell me what I need and what you can do for me and how you're going to make my life easier.
And I think talk to your, you know, you love this client, maybe find out what they really enjoyed about working with you. And that's where you can focus, you know, because it was a great mutual relationship. And there's a reason why you were a great fit. Maybe you were super open-minded. Maybe you were teachable. Those are things that you can say to someone. And I work with, like when I talked to Kai for the very first time, I was like, I love working with coaches, authors, and speakers because they know they understand how important it is to have coaches. I love people who can be coached. And when I came to her, I was like, you know, I love working with coaches because I'm that eternal learner. I love to be doing, you know, and so it's like I had already identified that's what I love about working with those types of people. So then for them, they loved working with someone who was moldable and that could do things their way. they wanted it a certain way. So you got to just ask.
She was, because she had everything already out for me. She's like, this is my process. Here's the checklist. Just follow the checklist and you'll be fine. And I'm like, that's
and
fine.
maybe that's what really you want in a person to work with, is that you want them to be really organized and to really have a clear picture, which I know how frustrating it can be if a client does not have a clear picture. That's why I say go to a coach so you can have a clear picture. But you know, it's just talk to them when you get a client that you really love. Ask frequently during your work with them, like what it is that they enjoy about working with you. It's also great because it gives you a good idea of what testimonial you might be able to pull out later, which is like, you might as well do more than one thing, you know, kill two birds with one stone. I hate that terminology, but it's true.
I think
it's very violent
from her. I did get
See?
a testimonial from her in the beginning, and she told me that she liked working with me because she didn't have to train me. Like, I understood the technology and creating the content. And then because she hired me, she doubled her income for her business within 3 weeks of when she brought me on. So she was like, I feel so much better.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, because she had more time to consult with the new people that were coming in, and she said before she was focusing on training the new VA and focusing more time on that than bringing in money to the business.
I completely agree. I think that's a great benefit to go with, and that is Leticia's skill set is a huge reason why I recommend her for jobs that I work on too. I'm like, you know what? She's just easy. You can go ahead and plop her in, and she's just going to do what she needs to do, and make sure it matches. So that, I think that's really. We have about 5 minutes, so I just want to make sure. Okay. Does that help, Leticia?
That helps.
Good? Okay.
I'm just like, I'm so used to doing it one way with certain people, and now I'm just like, oh, okay.
You can do it. Just try it out. Try a client. Remember that you're going to have to practice how you are. The whole thing is going to have to be practiced. And if it doesn't work on the first one, it's okay because you got to get good, right? So you'll learn.
And as far as your branding goes, I don't know how you have branded in terms of working with agencies. In my head, I imagine that it would look a little bit more, not corporate, so to speak, but more professional when I'm like reaching out to an agency, because that's kind of their vibe. I feel like that's what my website would look like to a certain extent. Whereas when I'm reaching out to a coach, my messaging may be different. So if you're not going to necessarily focus only on coaches, you might have a different tab, like, how I work with coaches, that brings them through. And what you're doing in that is you're showing them like, hey, how much better your life could be if I came in. We could double your income because I would take off X amount of hours of work from you. I would blah, 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 whatever that is. I could help. Like, do you want to help them create the systems, or are you just taking over the system so they have less, more time to do on things that bring more ROI, right, for them?
Right.
So that's one way you can do it too, but that's how you would work it into your branding is as your messaging evolves. And if you have a section for them, or if you have, on the homepage, whatever that looks like, you're going to want to speak to them specifically, right?
Okay.
Because they're going to be very different from a digital agency. Like, their pain, they might both want time, but their pain is very different. Like a digital agency has all these people.
Yeah.
Typically
a
speaking.
lot.
Right. And a coach is usually a lone wolf. Right.
Yeah,
like
that's how it was with her.
Yeah.
It was by herself and me, and it was like, oh, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. So just pointing that out for your branding, because that might change, because branding is a part of messaging, right? So it may change your messaging when you speak specifically to the coach and when you're marketing or whatever that is specifically for the coaches.
Got it. Okay. I'll make a note of that.
Well, thank you so much, Leticia. I appreciate you hopping on here and, of course, being on the show with us as well as watching the show. So
You're welcome.
Go ahead and
Thank
I'll pitch
you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let Leticia go, and then Kai, if there's anything else you wanted to, we have our party. Register for the party. You can. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and we do have a special. We have special pricing for Women's Entrepreneur Network. So message us if you're interested in attending, and we will get you the code so that you can join us for that party. And it is party.themomentumstudio.com that you can check out. And this one is all about branding. Let's get branded, which is an 80s party. Would love to see you guys there. It's so much fun. We have a blast.
Oh my gosh. And if you guys haven't yet, You should go to our page if you're in the When group. Go to @MoreMomentum in Facebook and check out Tessa's 80s photo. It is awesome.
Yeah, I have like glasses that are huge. Oh my
is
gosh.
that really you? It didn't even look like you.
I have way more awful 80s pictures that I'm going to be putting up in the next couple days. The party is on November 19th and it's a Thursday. It's in the evening. It's all by Zoom. We'd love to have you guys join us just because like we talked about practicing. What better place to practice than a safe, Zoom room with ladies who want to support you and give you feedback. And you don't have to do it with your clients. It's the best way to go. And Letizia, we need more
pictures. Yes.
Letitia's been on our parties before, so she knows how it goes. It's super fun, and we'd love to see you guys all there. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Bella.
See you guys next Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Yes, 2.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And do get on our list if you guys want to get reminders. There's a link in our post, and we'll just send you a text, and you can join us from your phone or from your email computer.
Yeah. And just one reminder is that the sale ends on Monday.
Monday.
Right? Monday night. So
yeah,
that's the last day to get tickets.
Yeah, we ship swag. So Kai comes up with these amazing swag boxes, and so we have to ship it. We actually have to cut the registration off a little bit early so that we can get that out to you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we can't wait.
We'll
see you guys at the party.
Thanks so much, Kai.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.